What's up, guys? Another reaction video. Today, I wanted to go over one of the few books I think is super important to anyone who wants to start in their entrepreneurial experience, their journey. And this book, it's a little more special in the way that it's not so much real world, like, oh, just work every single day. It's more mentality, it's more mindset. It even gets to the point where it's like manifesting. I'm sure a lot of people, before they start an entrepreneurial journey, they don't think it's like that. You probably look at people who are super into stones and astrology and all that kind of crazy. Astrology, I think, is still a little out there, but the more you kind of look into the subject, the more like these kind of stuff matters to these people. Like frequencies matter, manifesting, the things you say out loud, stuff like that. I've noticed matters to a lot of people who I would say are successful in life. And that's why this video, what we're going to watch, a summary of Think and Grow Rich by, I forget his name, but cool guy. He's written a great book that's gonna change your perception, I think. If you're new to all this, right? If you already know, then you already know. But let's get right into it.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book asks the question, what makes a winner? For some people, this book and its author are considered controversial. But for so many others, they swear that this book changed their lives.
I just wanted to say that this is my first time watching this detailed summary. So shout out to Escaping Ordinary, BC Marks. Shout out to you. I read the book, or I've listened to the audiobook a handful of times. But other than that, I haven't watched this video.
Introduction. Thoughts are things. Truly, thoughts are things, and powerful things at that, when they are mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their translation into riches or other material objects. Many years ago, a man by the name of Edwin Barnes had a burning desire to become a business associate of the great inventor Thomas Edison. What began as just a thought became reality. When this desire flashed into his mind, he did not know Edison, nor did he have any plans or answers as to how he would make it a reality. He did not even have enough money for the train ticket. All he had was a burning desire. Most would have given up at this point, but Barnes hitched a ride on a freight train all the way to New Jersey. He presented himself to Edison and proclaimed his intentions of becoming Edison's business partner. Thomas Edison later said, "He stood there before me like an ordinary tramp, but there was something about the expression of his face which conveyed the impression he was determined to get what he had come after. I had learned from years of experience that when a man really desires something so deeply that he's willing to stake his entire future on a single turn of the wheel in order to get it, he is sure to win."
And I think that's pretty powerful because I've noticed kind of the same thing too. When I first started out in this journey, I felt like it was just a little bit harder to kind of wrap your head around this kind of ideal. He left everything just for a chance to work with Thomas Edison. And that basically real life too is like the people who you see constantly trying to be better, constantly even at a loss, right? Even if they maybe humiliate themselves, those people at the end of the day are going to be the people you wish you were like. You didn't experience short-term embarrassment from trying something and then failing, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to benefit the most from that experience.
Gave him the opportunity he had asked for because I saw he had made up his mind to stand by until he succeeded. Subsequent events proved no mistake had been made. 3 feet from gold. One of the most common causes of failure is the habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat. Before success in anyone's life is achieved, failures and temporary defeats are sure to arise.
Think about it like this. If you never give up, you can never fail. So even though you're not where you want to be, as long as you don't stop, technically you haven't failed, and you should keep going. And once you get there, once you get where you want to get to, it was like, did you ever fail? It was all part of the process.
All too often, success comes just one step beyond the point at which defeat has overtaken you. You just need to hold on and persevere through these temporary defeats. You are the master of your fate and captain of your soul. Everyone has the ability to control their thoughts, so therefore they are able to control their fate. Our brains become magnetized with the dominating thoughts we hold in our minds. By means which no one fully understands, these dominating thoughts, like magnets, attract to us the forces, the people, the circumstances of life which harmonize with the nature of our dominating thoughts. Principle 1. Desire. The starting point of all achievement. It was not hope, it was not a wish. It was a keen pulsating desire which transcended everything else. It was definite. This is the first step towards riches. Hill stresses that desire is not just a wish or a hope. It must be a burning desire, such that it is a consuming There is a legend of an ancient commander and his army which was greatly outnumbered. They sailed for miles and reached the shores of the enemy. He ordered his men to disembark onto the beach, but the commander knew that the greatest enemy of all was fear. Inspired by this belief, he eliminated the only possible source of retreat. Burn the ships, he commanded.
I mean, apply that to real life, right? If you give yourself no other choice but to win, I mean, that's your only choice. You have to win. But whenever you're like, oh, well, like if this doesn't work out, here's my plan B, plan C, plan D. So it's not terrible to have a backup plan, but this is where it starts getting more like logic is a little bit more loose in the sense that you're risking everything for like a maybe not high probable chance of success. But this is how you get the things you want, right? Or at least this is how they're framing it.
In order to be successful, you must be willing to burn the ships and eliminate all sources of retreat and surrender. Only then will you have a state of mind that is conducive with a burning desire to win. When Barnes visited Thomas Edison, Barnes did not say, I will try to induce Edison to give me a job of some sort. He said, I will see Edison and inform him that I have come to go into business with him.
Let's see what I mean, what I just said, right? It gets logically, if someone doesn't want to work with you, after a few months, logically it makes sense to leave. But because this is where he really wanted, this is his dream, he kind of had to go through this like illogical phase, ended up working out. And now we're talking about him years later, his biggest accomplishment, which is working with him, when maybe in the moment people were looking at him like, damn, this guy should just give up. He's not going to get the job.
Hill outlines 6 steps to achieving your desire to be applied with the other 12 principles. The method by which desire for riches can be transmuted into its financial equivalent consists of 6 definite and practical steps. 1. Fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. This number cannot be vague, it must be an exact amount. 2. Determine exactly what you will give in return for that money. 3. Establish a definite date that you want to be in possession of the money. 4. Create a definite plan for attaining your desire and begin immediately. 5. Take steps 1 to 4 and summarize them into a clear and concise statement of the amount, deadline, and plan to achieve it. 6. Read this statement aloud twice a day when you wake up in the morning and once again before you sleep. When reading aloud, you must visualize yourself already in possession of that money. Here is an example of a written statement. By the first day of September, I will have in my possession $250,000, which will come to me in various amounts during the interim. In return for this money, I will give the most efficient service of which I am capable in my capacity as founder of the XYZ startup. I believe that I'll have this money in my possession. My faith is so strong that I can now see this money before my eyes. I am awaiting a plan and I will follow the plan when it is received. Tailor the written statement to match your own desire and sign your name at the bottom.
There it is, guys. This is the formula to get what you want out of life. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be starting your own company, but they say to do this every morning, every night. So you're kind of really hammering in your head, hey, this is what I want. Keep my eyes on the prize, That will help you minimize distractions. That'll help you stay focused. And I hope people watching this like this type of content because this helped me a lot. And I wish I was even younger watching this kind of stuff.
Creative visualization. Napoleon Hill's instructions to see yourself as you will be when you have already achieved your goal is what modern-day motivational experts call creative visualization. You can think of this process in just the same way as athletes visualize the outcome of a game or a fight before it has occurred.
And there was this one basketball player, basketball or baseball, he was talking about, I hope I don't retire like missing an important shot, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, it gets into the nitty-gritty of like spiritual and manifestation and stuff. But basically, he said it out loud on an interview, and then it ended up being true. So, there's some people who take it pretty extreme who don't even say, oh man, this event happened to me in a negative way. There's people who are very careful how they word things. I hope this kind of leads into that. The things you think of, the things you say all contribute to who you end up becoming.
The other you. Every failure brings with it a seed of an equivalent success. When you focus only on your failures in life, you attract more negativity to yourself. Try to instead cultivate a friendship with what Hill refers to as the other you. You can think of the other you as an alter ego that recognizes no defeat.
We're all going to go through negative events. In a way, it's a good thing. The more bad things you go through, and if you're able to maintain who you are and keep pushing to your end goal, you're going to realize those events were worth it, even if they were bad in the moment.
Visualization of and belief in attainment of desire. Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to the infinite intelligence.
See what I mean? It gets into this like vibrations, the subconscious spiritual equivalence transmits infinite intelligence. Successful people think about, you might think they're kind of crazy, but then why does it work? Why does it seem that in order to be successful, you almost have to be a little, I mean, maybe not even crazy, right? Crazy to a normal person, but more like open minded to this kind of stuff. And I feel the more you get into it, the more and more like you believe in superstition and this kind of stuff.
And transmits it to the infinite intelligence. Faith. Look around at some of the biggest companies in the world. They all began as thoughts in the minds of one or two people. There are fortunes being made around you every single day, and those fortunes began as ideas. Strange forces. Both poverty and riches are the offspring of thought.
Yes.
Your thoughts are like a magnetic force that attracts similar thought patterns that are in harmony with your own. Your thoughts begin to become real in the physical world. You manifest reality.
Exactly. So think about that. Let's stop for a moment and do a little brain exercise. If you in your head have it that you cannot fail in life, if you just keep going, eventually, if you have 80 years, there's like probably how do you not make it after 80 years? But the other person, his mindset might be, man, if I don't make it in a week, in a few tries, if I can't figure it out, then I'm not gonna try for the next 80 years. So there's people have the exact same amount of time, but because one person is just more persistent than the other, even if the second person was more realistic, you get there quicker knowing that eventually you'll figure it out. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, not next week, but eventually you'll get there. If that's how you train your brain to think.
Similarly, the subconscious mind cannot differentiate between positive and negative thought patterns.
Exactly. And then there was a Family Guy clip when Stewie had a little like salesman job and he hired Brian, and he said a legendary quote that I'll try to clip in here.
Until then, keep this in mind. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. See you tomorrow.
But it's a joke, but it's true. Like now that I'm thinking about it, it seems wacky the way he said it, because it just seems like cliche, but it's for reals.
So someone who feels like they are destined to be poor and only fill their subconscious mind with negative thoughts attract just that.
Do you know people can get cancer just from thinking they have cancer? Isn't that crazy? Some people literally get themselves sick because they're just thinking about it all day long. And other people, they get rich because that's all they think about all day long. So the mind is very powerful.
Planting seeds. Thoughts which are mixed with any of the feelings of emotions constitute a magnetic force, which attracts from the vibrations of the ether other similar or related thoughts. A thought thus magnetized with emotion may be compared to a seed which when planted in fertile soil germinates, grows, and multiplies itself over and over again until that which was originally once a small seed becomes countless millions of seeds of the same brand.
Once you train your brain in a new habit, eventually it just becomes a habit that you don't really have to think about anymore, that you can focus on something else. So they call it upward spiral. So just the same way, you can crash out, you can crash up.
The main idea is that any idea, goal, or purpose can be planted into your subconscious mind through repetition. Again, be careful what you think about, because the subconscious mind cannot in any way differentiate between constructive and destructive thoughts. Principle 3, autosuggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. How you view the world and view yourself is what your subconscious mind takes in. It cannot differentiate between positive or negative thoughts. So if your thoughts are generally negative, your subconscious mind will get to work at manifesting those negative thoughts into reality. We want to try and flush out these negative thoughts and emotions and replace them with seeds of positive thoughts and emotions. We can achieve this through autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is the vehicle which we can use to stimulate and guide our subconscious mind to work for us. This process is achieved by repeated self-suggestions that use the 5 senses. In order for our suggestions to the subconscious mind to have an impact, they first need to be mixed with emotion.
There's another part, emotions. Like, what exactly does that mean? And the best way I could describe it is, oh, I'm going to make $1 million this year. But, the way you say it, the way you feel about it when you say it, that all kind of comes into play. So in the beginning, you might be kind of like iffy about it. Once you see like some more like examples happen, unfold before your eyes, you'll see that it's actually very true. The things you think about eventually do manifest itself. So in the beginning, it's hard to have faith that's going to work. And then, you do it. And then when you do it enough, you realize how powerful it is to have these thoughts that could turn into reality.
And through repetition, you voluntarily create thought habits that can influence the subconscious mind and transmute your desire into its monetary equivalent. Reading out your statement once is easy. What is challenging is turning these into thought habits by continual daily repetitions until the desire is achieved. Remember, we can't just read the statement once and expect results. We need to be bombarding the subconscious mind with positive thoughts directed towards our desire.
It's important too to say that if you are to do this, it's unrealistic to expect not having any bad days. Let's say you start doing this and the first inconvenience you have, you're like, oh, this doesn't work, this is all BS. And I'm telling you, this is where logic kind of flies out the window and you realize, like, man, it's like, how long can I keep this up for, And you just have to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. So no matter how bad things get, you just have to keep filling your life with, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna do it, have positive, emotions going into it. And like I said, at the beginning it's hard. Towards the end, once you do it enough, it feels better. And for certain, no matter what happens, you're gonna make it out all right.
Your ability to use the principle of auto-suggestion will depend very largely upon your capacity to concentrate upon a given desire until that desire becomes a burning obsession. Continual repetition of the statement will begin to open the universe to your thoughts.
So I think a good way to summarize auto-suggestion is like, what are you filling your mind with? And you kind of visualize it like this. If we have person A, person B. Person A is working. He does 3 hours a day of his side hustle versus person B does 8 hours a day. So because, person B is filling his time with his side work more than the other person, it just makes sense that they're going to be more successful. And that's the same way you should see your brain. It's like, how many hours am I filling up with what I want to achieve, and how many hours am I like just watching TV, scrolling, or whatever you do,
4. Specialized knowledge, personal experiences or observations. From having specialized knowledge, however, knowledge in itself does not create wealth. Knowledge only becomes power when it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end.
So, like a good example of this, because it went by pretty quick, Steve Jobs didn't do any of the coding. He didn't do any of the hardware. He just had an idea and he hired the right people. I think that's a good way to remember this lesson is you don't have to know the ins and outs of everything for you to get what you want. But you got to find the right people.
Principle 5, imagination. The workshop of the mind. The impulse, the desire is given shape, form, and action through the aid of the imaginative faculty of the mind. Hill explains there are 2 different forms of imagination: synthetic imagination and creative imagination. Synthetic imagination is arranging concepts and ideas into new combinations. This type of imagination is primarily used to attain wealth. Creative imagination is through the use of hunches and inspiration to better read the subconscious minds of others. Great leaders become very good at this type of imagination. Psychologists nowadays may refer to the infinite intelligence as being in the zone or in the flow state. For most people, it is hard to imagine that thoughts can be something tangible. But if everything in the universe is made up of matter or energy, and thoughts create energy by sending little packets of photons throughout the brain, are they not in some regards something tangible? Are they creating small vibrations out into the universe? With quantum physics, the quantum realm, and theoretical science like string theory, it has never been easier to imagine a world where in fact our consciousness is somehow connected to the universe and others around us in ways we don't yet fully understand. Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes. Ideas are the products of the imagination.
This is almost what scientists should be looking into, because it's just really weird that if you just think about something long enough, hard enough, with enough desire, you make it into reality. And like scientifically speaking, at least the science that we're force fed, it's absurd to, you ask Neil deGrasse Tyson about this, that Pink Kill sketch.
Neil? Yes, honey? Neil deGrasse Tyson, I asked you to take the dog out for a walk when you left the house 4 hours ago. Now I come back and this little mother Sputnik is done pissed on my drapes. Now I've got to get rid of those things and get new ones. Neil, it doesn't make any sense. You are an astrophysicist. How can you not keep track of little details like this? Well, actually...
It's interesting. If you're into like astrology, for all the girls, the little bit of girls that watch this, astrology or all that like mumbo jumbo, this is something that I think is just, just up your alley. So I think that's about it. Maybe I'll do part two because it is 40 minutes long. I do want to get it more into books and stuff too. Some of the books I've read, and maybe read some more books. But for me to read it, stutter, try to explain everything, it seems like a hassle. So maybe I'll try to stick with some kind of visual detailed summary over the books. Yeah, guys. Thanks.